Listen!
Welcome everyone, this is Andre's Restart, and today we're talking about the many tiers of the kingdom. Today's video is meant to be a quicker little discussion video. I have a bigger theory video related to time coming out tomorrow, but we just got some recent art with Ganondorf that I think paints a little bit more of a picture on this situation regarding the many tiers of the kingdom. But before we jump into that, let me point out that we are aiming to hit 25,000 subscribers by the time Tears of the Kingdom comes out on May 12th. So if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, because then we might just make it. So I'll be getting to the latest piece of art for Ganondorf that gives us a little bit more information on what may be going on. But first let's talk about the number of tiers in this kingdom. We've been assuming it's 7. Why? Because we had that stone carving from one of the previous trailers where we saw 7 tiers, and we think it might be related to the 7 heroines or the 7 sages. But this gets a little confusing because there's also an 8th heroine, so could there be an 8th sage? Possibly. But then also, with the trailer where we saw those 7 tiers on the stone carvings, there's another shot that suggests there could be 2 more, because we see this Zonai-like character and this Zelda-like character coming together. So potentially we could have 9 tiers, 7, 8, or 9, we're not sure. And then when we take a look at the trailer itself, I think it gets a little bit more confusing. Because we have Zelda, she has a tier, but then also there's this other lady who is in the same clothing as her, that's using goddess-like powers, and she also has a yellow tier. But this gets even more confusing because Riju, we've seen that her earring also has a yellow tier. So we have 3 yellow tiers. But this gets even more confusing because we now see that Tolan has a green tier and Sidon has a blue tier, so it's 5 tiers accounted for. However, we don't see Yunubo, so if we're getting Tolan, Sidon, and Riju, where's Yunubo to represent the Gorons? He's in there, it looks like, or someone like him, because we see the Goron weapon, but it feels like there's something about him that they're holding back, and we don't know technically if he has a tier, so it's not accounted for yet. But what makes this even more interesting is that typically Gorons might be depicted with a red-like energy, or something that they would be representing. And what we see from Ganondorf is that he also has a tier on his head. And he's not a sage, he's the big bad, he's the Demon King. So that definitely is another plot twist there, but it's also a red tier. Possibly the tier that Yunubo would have, which makes things complicated, I would say. So we have 3 yellow tiers, we have a blue tier, a green tier, and a red tier. That's 6 tiers accounted for from the trailer. But there's actually a 7th tier, and this is from that Zonai-like character. When we see him put his hand near Zelda, we can see his hand, and it's the same kind of hand that Link has, except on the hand there's some kind of jewel. Now, it wasn't glowing with a solid color at the time, so we didn't realize, or at least a lot of us didn't realize, that it was a tier. However, thanks to the new piece of art that we've gotten for Ganondorf, we see the tier on his head very clearly, yet it's not red or glowing. It looks to be more transparent, lacking in color, very much from the tier we see on the hand of the Zonai-like character. Again, we assume Zonai, we don't know that for a fact. So that would be a 7th tier accounted for. So is that it? Are those all the 7 tiers? Possibly, but then there's also the consideration that this Zonai-like character and this Hylia or other type of Zelda character might not be from the same time period. There's a lot of discussion on time travel here or flashbacks. And I also think it's worth noting that Zelda's tier has the recall symbol on it, and Link's hand has the recall symbol as well when he's using recall. And this position is also where we see the tier of the Zonai guy. I feel like that might be related to something as well. There's been some speculation that maybe 3 of the 7 tiers would be for Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, and then the other 4 would come from the 4 champion successors. I think that's a possibility, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that there are 8 tiers. Could be wrong, but basically it just comes down to the 7 heroines and then the lost 8th heroine. I think the idea with the 8th heroine is meant to suggest this hidden lost race. the Zonai, and I think there's going to be a tier representing each race. And I think what's interesting about Tears of the Kingdom is that while we're seeing these different tiers on different characters, and it's kind of hard to figure out why one might have a red or yellow when others would have different colors, it could be related to a struggle to obtain the Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe it's not so clear cut. Maybe this is going to be an ongoing battle where tears will be lost and gained by different forces. From what we've seen of the latest trailer, it looks like Link is a knight, as we know, engaging in ongoing battles throughout the game. There could be a current war taking place in Tears of the Kingdom, and this could be tied to this struggle for the varying Tears of the Kingdom. And these tiers, what their role is and how it impacts the endgame, we're not sure, but it's obviously important. So those are my thoughts on the many Tears of the Kingdom so far. There are more theory videos coming. This is a stopgap until the next bigger one, so stay tuned. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is Andres Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.